Alright, well, and welcome back to Dashing Swords and Painting. Today we're going to be painting up the Ice Mephit. This is a sculpt from Roleplaying Miniatures. And he doesn't come printed with a flight stand, so I glued a little bit of 3D printer filament onto his back to make a little flight stand for him. And then added some sand and some rocks onto the base. I primed him in tan because it's easier to paint white and light colors over an existing light color. And so here we go. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is our base coat. So getting a little bit of water onto our palette, we're going to mix our blue and white. Make this nice light blue. Get whatever ratio you want. That looks good to me. Kind of partway in between that blue and that white. And then tapping to make sure you don't have too much on your brush. Take our good sized brush. We're just going to apply it all over the model. You can see it looks a little bit transparent. That's good. That's what we want. It means it's not going on too thick. You notice it's globbing up. And that means it's too thick. You need to add a little bit of water. And just make sure you coat the entire miniature. All right, once that's dry, you may need to give it a second coat. You see that it's kind of transparent in some of those areas. Just go ahead, give it a nice thin second coat. May even need a third coat since we're working with light colors, and that's totally okay. Better to work thin than have it be too thick and chunky. We have a little bit of texture variation in there. That's not the end of the world. All right, next we're going to use some highlights. I'm going to switch to a lighter brush for this. Make our same mix. Make it a little bit over here, and this time we're going to add a little bit more white. So you can see my old mix there. My new mix here. If you still have the old mix, that's fine. You just add a little bit of white to it. I kind of ran out when I did that last base coat. But we're going to add just a little bit more water to this one, because we're going to use this one just as a highlight. So make sure you have a good point on your brush. We're going to hit just the up-facing surfaces all along here. Okay, everything is facing up. All of these kind of spines. Work it out toward the edge. These areas along the face, hit the brow, ridges. There we go with the eyes, out to the nose. Eyes, out to the nose. Facing surfaces of the chest, the arms. You can go as heavy or as light as you like on this highlight. Especially on the hands, I'm just using the edge of the brush to hit the edges. Just like that. Might look pretty stark when you first put it on. It'll kind of mellow out as it dries. Work your way around. Just try and gently hit everything in the model. I'm adding a little bit of just texture to the wings there. As you can see, it's already kind of dried a little bit more transparent. If you like, you can add a second layer as you go around and you see things that need highlighting. Also, we're trying to create a contrast between our highest points and our lowest points in there. The more that you have, the more sort of standing out your model's going to be. and just use the side of the brush. Just gently touch along those upraised edges. Just like that. Alright, and then finally I'm going to use just pure white. Make sure it's got just a little bit of water so it's flow. Just like that. It's pure white, and we're going to hit just tips of any of the icicle kind of nose. There. Fingertips. Any other icicles that your model might have. That's just going to be the highest, aciest part right there. These kind of drips there. You can also, if you want, get just the tips of the wings right there. I know I've got a loose hair on the brush. That might just be a print error right there, but just the tips of the ears. There we go. See if I can get these spikes. Yeah, that's pretty nice. If you need to do a second layer, that's fine. Just like that. Alright, there we go. Alright, the next color I'm going to use is black. And take just pure black, make sure it's flowing well. This one happens to be a little bit thin already. The pot. Test, make sure I can get a good line. And what we're going to be doing is doing the eyes. So make sure you have a good point on your brush. We're going to go just touch the eyes. Just like that. I'm going to leave these eyes just black. You can do them however you like. And while we have that black, more on there, let's do the whole flight stand. And just sort of a nondescript black. That'll just sell our flying creature as being separate from the environment and from the model. We'll just sort of differentiate. If you have a clear one, that's also very cool. I just happen to use what I had on hand. Being a little bit careful around the base, but if you spill over, that's okay, because we're going to paint the base anyway. Good all around. Good layer. And there we go. We are getting there. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is a gray on the base. I have mixed the white and the black. You could also use a gray if you have it. Just take a good layer brush, and we're going to get the whole base all the way around, including the rocks. The reason we're using gray is that it's going to kind of go with our cold tone a little bit better than I think this warm sandy environment that the this khaki kind of sells. If you primed in gray, great. Good for you. Just go all the way around. Get a little on your flight stand, that's okay. We can always clean that up on the flight stand later. Alright, just like that. And let that dry. Alright, once that's dry, the next thing we're going to do is mix up a wash. This is a very thin, you can mix either your blue and your black together and then thin it out, or use an off-the-shelf blue wash if you have it. Now, take this, get your brush good and load it up, and we're going to apply this all over the miniature. Get on a good coat, but what we don't want to do is let it pool. So if you see it pooling, just take your brush, grab it, and just kind of dip it in. That'll pick it back up. If it pools, it'll coffee stain. So places like behind the head there, kind of let that absorb. Also want to, the reason we did the base first, is we want to get the base too. See, that'll just kind of get a little bit dark. Tie it into the rest of the miniature. Places like that. Just in there. We want it to sink into the recesses, but not gives horrible coffee stains. So make sure I do kind of counter to the direction. Lets it flow into those recesses there. You can kind of control the amount that stays in there. All right. Once you're happy, let me take out that pool. Places around the back of the model I'm a little bit less concerned about. They're not going to show as much. There we go. And let's give that a good amount of time to dry. All right. As it dries again, keep an eye on it. If it looks like it's starting to pool, just pick that up with a brush. All right. Once that's dry, move on to our next step, which is a quick dry brush. You're going to get a little bit of white. Rub it off on something rough. This could be a piece of paper. No, this is an old 3D printing I have. Whatever you're using is your dry brush palette. Take this and you're going to gently brush it over your base here. Just give the appearance of a little bit of a frost effect. Oop, that's too much. Barely any on there. And we're just trying to highlight this area a little bit. Just kind of make it look a little bit more kind of white and frosty. If you wanted to, you could dry brush your miniature a little bit too with it. All right. All right, now you could call it good there if you wanted. You see we have good contrast on there and just hit your base run. Or we could use a snow effect. This is from Citadel called Valhalla Blizzard. It's a very good snow effect. There's also techniques online where you can use baking soda. I've heard of people having variable results. I don't always buy Citadel things for how expensive they are. I think this is actually a pretty good product. So right out of the package, you take kind of a glob of it. It just goes onto the ground. Wherever you want. When it dries, it will look like some kind of snow deposits. Just like that. I think if you're going to be thinking you're going to be using one of the things now, I think picking one of these up from whichever company is a worthwhile investment. All right, and the final thing is just taking some of your black and applying it to your base run. Being careful not to go over the edge of the base, working your way all the way around. Just like that.